we've made our plain scones and they're in the oven, so now we're going to have a go at pumpkin scones. Now your pumpkin scones are a little bit more involved, a little bit more like making a cake. You do need to cream your butter and your sugar before you add your wet ingredients, and then the flour goes in last. So with these we have 2 tablespoons of sugar and we have 1 tablespoon of butter. 1 tablespoon of butter. So we're just going to pop that in. So what we need to do is we need to cream this. So if you remember from your high school days, if you were lucky enough to do home ec, creaming means that you need to beat them together until you cannot feel the sugar. So you need to be able to do that and it'll be smooth. So because I do need to use the beaters, I'm going to make a little bit of noise. So just bear with me there. So the best way to check to see if it's creamed is you grab a little bit and rub it between your fingers. If you can feel grainy, then you need to do it some more. Okay? So once you've creamed that, then we're going to add the egg. So just 1 egg. Now, always crack your egg into something. Never crack your egg straight into your food. Doesn't matter what you're cooking. Don't do it straight into the food. Because this way you can always check to make sure that there's nothing growing in it, it's not rotten, and you're not getting eggshells, stuff like that. If you do get an eggshell, just use the eggshell to get the eggshell out. Don't try and do it with your fingers because it doesn't work. Been there, done that. So, Mummy did forget to get her whisk out of the drawer, didn't she? And now she can't find it. Here it is. So, just going to give that a quick whisk. So it looks like this, and yes, it does look like it's curdle and it's gross, and that's okay, bear with. Then we're going to put in 1/2 cup of milk. I'm going to give that a quick mix just to mix it through. So then you've got your pumpkin. So with your pumpkin, what I've done is I've diced this, I've cooked it in the microwave. It took about 8 minutes in the microwave in my microwave dish, and then I've just drained it and given it a mash, and it's warm. So very, very important to have warm pumpkin in your pumpkin scones. If you've got leftover pumpkin in the fridge and you put it in cold, it will curdle that and your scones won't look real cool. Actually, they look pretty gross because I've done that a few times but I've been lazy. So you don't want it hot, because if you're using hot pumpkin, like straight out of the microwave hot, your egg is going to start to cook. And then you're going to end up with like scrambled eggish type pumpkin scones, which is really not that good. So cup of pumpkin scone. So you'll see there, I've got probably about 1/2 cup left. Now that was 1/4 of a Jap pumpkin that I cut up, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of how much raw pumpkin you'll need for your pumpkin scones. Just pop that out of the way, and then we're just going to give that a quick whisk, just to mix all that through. So that's our wet ingredients, so now we need to add the flour. So not so important to sift your flour 3 times with your pumpkin scones as it is with your plain scones. Because it's a little bit more like a cake, you're really not going to have those sort of issues. So again, it's 2.5 cups. 1, 2. And of course I used my 1/2 cup, didn't I, to break the egg into. Now you'll notice I've got 2 different coloured cups. I've got the orange ones and the blue ones. Very, very important, and you'll notice what I've just done. I've just used this one, and I used it for wet stuff, and then I've used it for dry stuff, and you can see what's happened. It's all gone gross inside. I like to have the 2 different cups, 2 different sets of measuring cups, one for dry and one for wet. Makes your baking so much easier. Especially if you're doing a lot of baking in one day. You've done that, and you've got to go and wash it up and dry it, make sure that it's dry before you put it back in your flour. It all just becomes a bit of a challenge after a while. So we've popped our flour in there. And then the same as with our plain scones, we're just going to very, very gently mix that all together until it forms a dough. Now you will notice with your pumpkin scones, they're not as dense and as doughy as your plain scones. So these will be a lot lighter and a little bit more sticky. So when you're rolling them out, turning them out onto your board and flouring your hands, you will need a little bit more flour than you would with your plain scones. Now this recipe usually gives me, it's my cat making noises in the background. This one will usually give me about 2 dozen. Now you'll notice that that's a bit sticky. Okay, so this happens Okay, it's your pumpkin. Because the pumpkin is quite wet. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add just a little bit more flour. Okay, so just pop it in your sift and store and just a little sprinkle over the top. And just keep adding a little bit at a time until we get the required consistency. So because pumpkin is a very, very moist vegetable, that's why it becomes very wet like that. So this part's a little bit hit and miss and a bit of practice. Okay, so we know what we're looking for. We're looking for it to be a ball of dough, which is starting to come quite nicely like a ball of dough now. Maybe just a little bit more. So that's pretty much what we want. I'm just going to flour my hands. Oh, sounds like our other ones are ready to come out. So I'll just pop that there. And just check on these ones. They should be fabulous. Here's hoping. Fogged me up. There you go, look at that. How amazing do they look? So depending on your oven as well. So you'll find, which is a little bit random, but you will find if a lot of people are using the electricity at the same time and you've got an electric cooker, it may take a little bit longer to cook. If you've got gas, obviously they may only take 8 to 9 minutes if you've got gas. So I have used the industrial gas cooker at the CWA a couple of times and I found they only took about 8 minutes. So I'm just going to turn that out. There we go. So I'm just going to sprinkle that with a little bit of flour because we don't want it sticking to our hands, and you'll see that it is quite wet and it's very, very soft. So it doesn't matter if you use a bit extra flour. This is another thing where the sifted store comes in handy too. Just do that. So like we did with the plain ones, just going to pop it out. So you notice I'm not going down making it really thin. You don't want your scones to be biscuits. You want them to be thick enough that you can break them open, put your jam and cream on, and they're going to taste pretty damn good. Just get some baking paper. Put that on there. So, because this mixture is a lot stickier and a lot softer, you will need to flour your cutter between every one of them. So what I do, I'll show you there, I've just put my flour in my measuring cup because my cutter fits in there quite nicely. Now, you're not going to be able to buy one of these cutters at the shops, okay? So don't go down to Robin's Kitchens and say, can I have one of those nifty little cutters with a handle on it? Because this was my mum's from 1972 from a metalwork class that my brother made, and it's just the perfect size. So if you don't have this particular scone cutter, you know, don't stress. Biscuit cutters will do the job, and if you're at a real pinch, a drinking glass. Okay? But the metal ones are better than the drinking glasses because you do obviously have the sharper edge. So your drinking glass can be a bit thick. Sometimes they get stuck in the glass. So use what you've got. If you don't have biscuits cutters and you really want to try this, just use a knife, cut them into squares. You'll notice a lot of the cafes and stuff like that, you'll get square scones. I'm a bit traditional. I don't like a square scone. A bit precious. You couldn't make me a round one. Okay, so I reckon we might be able to get one more scone out of this. What have I got there? 4, 8, 12, 16. No, I've only got 18 out of this one. Again at 250 degrees. Just going to pop that in there and I'm going to set my timer again. Okay, so all we have to do now is wait for them to cook. Woohoo! Alright, so we've waited our 10 minutes, we've taken our pumpkin scones out of the oven. Here's our plain scones. So, look at that for morning tea. Okay? A little bit of jam and this dollop cream from Coles. Really, really good. Good value for money as well. And all you need is, seriously, just half a teaspoon. Pop that on your scones. There you go. People are going to think that you are, well, not the Bogan baker because that's me. You can't be me. But you're going to be a really good baker. So, before we end up, I just want to say a huge thank you to the very lovely Miss Phoebe who's filming this and making me look fabulous. Because, you know, otherwise I'd just be some crazy old lady in the kitchen, baking scones, talking to the cat. So, in the comments below you will find the recipes for this. You'll also find obviously the measurements and stuff. Facebook, The Bogan Baker, find me over there. All of my recipes, all my videos are on there. And thank you for watching and see you next time.